So you sent me an article from the New York Times. The article's called Climate Change is No Laughing Matter, or Is It? And I thought that was interesting because we try and have an entertaining, fun time here on the Clean Energy Show.
We try. Not this week because I chipped a tooth that I can't afford to fix, so I'm not in a good mood. Yeah.
Oh, no.
My son, he came back with popcorn, and which led us to buy Cracker Jack.
Yeah.
To compare what it'd be like with peanuts, and that chipped my tooth. Yeah, it's just, yeah.
You chipped your tooth on like a hard popcorn kernel.
Something like that. It was made harder by the process of caramelizing it. Anyway.
Brutal. Well, that's going to cut back on the comedy on the show this week then.
Unless my tongue starts bleeding from the sharpness of what's left of my tooth.
But yeah, I wouldn't call what we do comedy, but we do, obviously, we try and have fun. We try and highlight the, better news stories because climate change, as we've discussed, last week, it's causing a lot of people anxiety, of course, climate change. So a lot of comedians have figured out that, possibly humor is the way to deal with this. And we've, I think, talked about all of these people on the show before because I do like to highlight when somebody puts something funny out. The Juice Media from Australia, friends of ours, basically, who put out very funny, honest government ads about the government policy to do with climate change. Yellow Dot Studios, which is Adam McKay. I played a clip from one of their YouTube videos, many months ago. They're putting out sort of humorous videos dealing with the climate change issue. Adam McKay, of course, made the movie Don't Look Up, it's on Netflix, and it's a comedy, I guess. Didn't make me laugh, but a comedy about it
was too dark a humor for you, too close to home.
It was too dark, and the last one that mentioned in the article, Rollie Williams has a YouTube channel called Climate Town, which I can't remember if we've mentioned, but he makes very, very funny videos about climate issues on YouTube, and I would encourage people to look all of those up. So I like all of these channels: Yellow Dot Studios, Rollie Williams, Climate Town, the
You
Juice
found
Media.
Climate Town, but you didn't find Mr. Beast. I don't understand how that didn't come across.
I think the Mr. Beast stuff looks too clickbaity for me, and I just, the algorithm knows I don't want to see them.
The algorithm knows. It knows everything.
It knows everything.
It knows what the rabbit hole to send dumb people down and keep educating them in the wrong way.
But I did realize that, looking at these lists that I just mentioned, is I don't keep watching all of them. I've watched a few from each of these channels, but I think they maybe emphasize the negative stuff too much. I think we like to focus on the good news here on the Clean Energy Show.
And there's lots of good news, except this week.
There's lots of good news. I like to take it as a given. We all know climate change is real. We all know it's man-made. We all know it's caused by the fossil fuel industry and that they're further complicating things by pretending that it's not real and spreading misinformation. And all of those channels I mentioned, they all kind of keep going back to those things, which are very real issues that we need to deal with. But it even though they're humorous, it still makes me depressed, I think, to keep watching them. So after I've had a taste and I see what they're up to, I tend to stop watching them.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I'm surprised by that because Climate Town is very successful.
Yeah.
There's educational channels that I haven't learned about that my kids turn me on to from time to time, and I realize they've been around for 11 years and have, the hosts are retiring rich, and I haven't even come across them, but they have, and they've, kids these days, they're getting educated on YouTube. That's all I have to say.
Well, Climate Town, that guy, Rollie Williams, it says here in the New York Times article, he started by doing a humorous show where he played Al Gore. And his joke was like, Al Gore made an inconvenient truth a very long time ago. So he was doing a live stage show where he played Al Gore. And he was like, I told you so, everybody. I told you so. Al Gore, can very much look back and say, I told you so. And I thought that was super funny. And that evolved into his, Climate Town YouTube channel. But yeah, I don't know. I think to me, focusing on the good news is the only way to get through this. And we've got good news every week here on the show.
Sometimes there's a struggle. There's a lot of negative news out there about EVs and the pace of renewables this week, but it is a temporary setback. We won't dwell on them because these things are still sorting themselves out.
I know, we've had a segment on the show that we did a couple of times called the depressing story of the week. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, and I kind of imagine we might do that every week, but we did it a couple of times, and I'm like, okay, I don't want to do that anymore. That's too depressing.
Yeah. Well, I have the sad story of the week too. There's always, I guess I could technically have one coming up in the podcast. It's about Arizona punishing people with solar
Yep.
because, why have a good thing in Arizona when you can...
When you can have a bad thing.
The Clean Energy Show.